Aristotle, the Golden Mean, Virtue Ethics and Moderation. Imagine walking a tightrope stretched between two cliffs. Lean too far to the left and you fall. Lean too far to the right and you fall. Survival depends not on extremes, but on balance. For Aristotle, one of history's greatest philosophers, this image captures the essence of living well. True virtue, he argued, is not found in excess or deficiency, but in the golden mean, the balanced path between extremes. This idea, known as the Golden Mean, is at the heart of Aristotle's virtue ethics. It's not about rigid rules or blind obedience. Instead, it's about cultivating habits of moderation, character, and wisdom that allow us to live fulfilling, flourishing lives. So, let's step into Aristotle's world, explore the Golden Mean, and see why a philosopher from 2,000 years ago may hold the key to navigating the chaos of our modern age. Aristotle's context. Why he sought balance. Aristotle lived in the 4th century BCE, a student of Plato and teacher of Alexander the Great. Unlike Plato, who often emphasized abstract ideals and otherworldly forms, Aristotle was deeply grounded in the observable world. He was interested in biology, politics, logic, and above all, how human beings could live good lives here and now. In his Nicomachean Ethics, Aristotle asks one central question: what is the ultimate goal of human life? His answer was eudaimonia, often translated as happiness or flourishing. But Aristotle didn't mean momentary pleasure or shallow enjoyment. For him, eudaimonia meant living in accordance with virtue, realizing one's full potential as a human being. To achieve this, Aristotle turned not to commandments, laws, or divine decrees, but to human character. He wanted to understand what makes a person good, not just occasionally, but consistently, through the habits and choices that define their life. This is where the Golden Mean enters, the idea of virtue ethics. Unlike modern moral theories like utilitarianism or deontology, Aristotle's approach is virtue ethics. Instead of asking, what rule should I follow, or what outcome will maximize happiness, virtue ethics asks, what kind of person should I become? For Aristotle, morality is about cultivating virtues, stable qualities of character that guide action. A virtuous person doesn't just do the right thing by accident. They act rightly because their character has been shaped to value courage, honesty, generosity, temperance, and wisdom. Virtue is a matter of practice. Just as an athlete becomes skilled by training or a musician by rehearsing, a person becomes virtuous by habit. Day after day, through repeated choices, we form our character. Our habits define us. But here's the problem. Every virtue risks falling into two extremes. Too much courage becomes recklessness. Too little becomes cowardice. Too much generosity becomes wastefulness. Too little becomes stinginess. Aristotle's solution? The Golden Mean. The Golden Mean explained. The Golden Mean is Aristotle's principle of moderation. Virtue, he argued, is the balance between excess and deficiency. It's the midpoint, not mathematically, but morally. The place where character expresses itself in its best form. Take courage. A person with too little courage avoids all danger, becoming cowardly. A person with too much rushes headlong into risk, becoming reckless. The virtuous person stands in the middle, courageous enough to face fear when necessary, but wise enough to avoid needless danger. Or consider honesty. Too little, and you become deceitful. Too much, and you may blurt out truths so bluntly that they cause unnecessary harm. Virtue lies in speaking truth with both integrity and tact. The mean is not the exact middle in every situation, but the appropriate balance depending on context, guided by reason and experience. What is mean for one person may not be for another. For a trained soldier, charging into battle may be courage. For an unarmed farmer, the same act may be recklessness. Thus, the Golden Mean is about finding harmony between extremes, a life lived in balance, guided by wisdom. Examples of virtues in the mean. Aristotle gives many examples to illustrate the Golden Mean. Generosity lies between stinginess, too little giving, and extravagance, too much giving. Temperance lies between self-indulgence, overindulgence in pleasures, and insensibility, complete denial of pleasures. Ambition lies between laziness, too little drive, and greed, too much drive. Friendliness lies between quarrelsomeness, too hostile, and flattery, too agreeable. In each case, the virtue is not found in avoiding one side completely, but in recognizing when to lean toward balance. Virtue is dynamic, not static. It requires judgment. Aristotle emphasized practical wisdom, phronesis, the ability to discern the right action in the right situation. Without this wisdom, even virtues can become distorted. Why extremes fail? Why was Aristotle so concerned with moderation? Because extremes destroy balance, and without balance, character collapses. A society built on extremes becomes unstable. A person dominated by extremes becomes self-destructive. Too much indulgence leads to ruin. Too much denial leads to emptiness. The golden mean is the steady path that avoids both pitfalls. But moderation doesn't mean mediocrity. Aristotle wasn't saying we should always choose the average. Instead, he argued that true greatness comes from balance. Courage is not half cowardice and half recklessness. It is a distinct excellence that avoids both. By living in balance, Aristotle believed, we align ourselves with reason, the highest part of human nature. To follow the golden mean is to live rationally, flourishing as the kind of beings we are meant to be. Practical application in modern life. At first glance, the golden mean may sound like ancient wisdom without relevance, but in reality, it may be more important today than ever. Think about work and rest. Too little work and life lacks purpose. Too much and we burn out. Balance creates productivity and health. Consider technology use. Too little and we may fall behind in the modern world. Too much and we drown in distraction. Balance creates mindful connection. Even in relationships, the golden mean applies. Too little honesty erodes trust. Too much bluntness erodes kindness. Balance creates intimacy and respect. Aristotle's insight is that every aspect of life, ambition, love, health, pleasure, responsibility, demands moderation. And in a culture addicted to extremes from overwork to overstimulation, the golden mean offers a roadmap for harmony. Philosophical significance. The golden mean is not just a lifestyle tip, it is a profound philosophical contribution. Aristotle shifted the moral conversation from rigid rules to human character, from punishment and obedience to flourishing and wisdom. His framework influenced centuries of thought, shaping Christian ethics, Islamic philosophy, and modern debates about moral psychology. Today, in an age of polarization, Aristotle's call for balance remains as urgent as ever. By placing character at the center, Aristotle teaches that ethics is not about abstract theories, but about who we are becoming. The golden mean is not a formula, but a compass, guiding us toward human excellence. Criticisms of the golden mean. Of course, Aristotle's theory is not without its critics. Some argue that not every virtue can be defined by moderation. For instance, is there a mean between justice and injustice, or between honesty and dishonesty? Some qualities seem absolute, not relative. Others argue that the golden mean is vague. How do we know exactly where the balance lies? Isn't it subjective? What counts as generosity for one person may be extravagance for another. Yet despite these criticisms, the golden mean remains influential because it forces us to ask, how can we live well? How do we avoid self-destruction? How can we cultivate balance in a world of extremes? Even critics acknowledge its lasting power. Aristotle's golden mean is not a call to settle for mediocrity. It is a call to cultivate excellence through balance, to live courageously without recklessness, generously without waste, wisely without arrogance. In a world where we are constantly pushed toward extremes, endless consumption, relentless ambition, total denial, Aristotle reminds us that flourishing lies in the middle path. The good life is not about excess, but about harmony. So ask yourself, where in your life are you living in extremes? Where can you move toward balance, toward the mean? That is where virtue lies. If this exploration made you reflect, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to keep uncovering timeless wisdom that challenges and inspires, make sure to subscribe and join us on this journey. Because philosophy is not just about abstract ideas, it is about how we live every single day.